All right. Good afternoon, everyone. You have chosen to attend Information Security Management. How to keep your edge while embracing the dark side. You had a choice. You chose to be here. Thank you very much. So without further ado, let's get started. So mandatory disclaimer. The opinions presented here are solely my own, blah, 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 blah. The really important thing is at the very, very bottom, which is this presentation is my opinion. You shouldn't trust me or anyone else for that matter. A lot of the things that you see here, you really are going to have to experience yourself. So, a fork in the road. Alice in Wonderland, we all know the story. I'm going to read it. I hate people that read slides, but I'm going to read this because it's really important. So one day, Alice came to the fork of the road and saw a Cheshire cat in a tree. "Which road do I take?" she asked. "Where do you want to go?" was his response. "I don't know," Alice responded. Then the cat said, "It doesn't matter." So if you're in this talk, you're more than likely at a road, or you've passed a road, which is information security management. None of us, and I'm a manager. I'm an ISO. I've been an ISO for 5 years now. Yeah, 5 years. I was a manager actually before then. I have a team of 9 individuals. I have an organization of 25,000 people, soon to be 32,000 people. It's a large university. So, I was actually given a choice. There was a fork in the road. And when I was given that choice, all the data wasn't provided to me. So I'm here to tell you, I'm here to tell you the truth. I'm here to, go full disclosure. So maintaining your edge, a quick one-day comparison. So if I rewind my life back to 2007 when I was an Active Directory architect, I actually built the domain that we still actually use in my organization. It's actually just now getting rebuilt. A typical day looked like this. So on the far left, you have meetings, you have email. But then, beyond that, you've got service tickets, you've got projects, really technical projects, things like using, obviously doing LDAP calls, understanding schema, adding attributes, domain controller synchronization, all that really fun stuff I really loved, really enjoyed. Used to be batch. Now it's all PowerShell, but, that kind of stuff. And, there at the very, very end, there was a little bit of project management. All right, we fast forward to my life now. And by the way, I was working about a 9-hour day back then. This is my life now, and this is really, I can cuss here, which is awesome. This is really no shit. So I do about 5 hours a day in meetings. I do a couple more hours in email. I do another hour in project management. When I get home, I eat, hang out with my kids for about an hour and a half, and then I hit it again. A 10-hour day is a lot day for me. In April, I was doing about 16-hour days. That's pretty common. So let's just really quick comparison. You'll see lots of red. You'll see a little bit of blue. The projects that you work on as a manager are going to be drastically different than the projects you worked on as a technician. Don't let anyone ever tell you any otherwise. It's a lie. So let's go through a reality check. And again, going back to my previous slide, I hate people that read PowerPoint. This will be the last time I read the slide to you, but it's really, really kind of important. Which information security management and practice require very different talent sets. So that's a fact. It's true. The most effective InfoSec managers have a strong technical background. That's equally true. I've actually met a couple of managers that were freshly minted, just had their management BBA out of school. They were put in charge of InfoSec teams, and they had no idea what they were doing, bless their hearts. They weren't really effective managers. They also weren't effective technicians, and they ended up, having to be let go. Managers, at a minimum, you're responsible for your team's performance. But, even more important, you're partially responsible for your team's economic, professional, and personal well-being. If you're a dick to them, they'll react. And I'm going to get to that in a minute. But, you actually are influencing these people's lives. When embraced, it's absolutely the most rewarding piece of InfoSec ever. I've done, again, a lot of stuff with InfoSec. I've done pen testing. I've been a really heavy system administrator. This is the most rewarding thing I've ever done, but it's also the hardest thing I've ever done. And as a manager, maintaining your technical edge will absolutely require for you to sacrifice in other areas. There's a reason, actually, I think that we drink so much, and I'm right there with y'all. You will have to actually, kind of sacrifice other areas. Luckily, I have a spouse that's amazing. She really takes up the slack for me with our 2 kids. But it's really, really hard because I do work 16-hour days. And if you think, hey, once I embrace management, I'm going to get a 6-figure paycheck, and I'm only going to be working 8-hour days, and I can make all these people do all the work for me, you are full of crap if you believe that. You may be able to do that for a short period of time, but you won't be an effective manager. Facets of Information Security Management. And this actually, I could go on for hours about this, but I want to cut this down, make this actionable. You've got program management, you've got team management, and then you've got the reason you're here, which is maintaining your edge. First and foremost, and it actually goes back to Zane's talk, anyone that was here before, information security is a function of the business. There's nothing worse than having a security practitioner and you're like, hey, you're an ISO or you're an information security manager. What do you do? Hey, we do compliance and we do audit and we do pen test. No. That's all wrong. What you do as an information security is you empower the business. If your business is selling Coca-Cola, then you sell Coca-Cola in a secure way. If your business is educating students the way we are, then guess what? We educate students and we do distance learning and we take payments and we treat FERPA data in a secure way. Because in doing so, I'm empowering the business. And then you as a student can worry about that grad paper you haven't done. And you don't have to worry about, us losing your credit card data when, you may happen to not be thinking about it. Measure everything and communicate clearly. This is the other thing. And again, this presentation originally was much longer, but I'm trying to really cut it down. You can actually, as technicians, we tend to be verbose. We tend to get into details. You start writing executive summary that you actually, pass upward to CIOs, to presidents. And you start saying things like, right here, what I wrote, the information security team has drastically reduced the number of incidents, which is a good thing. At this organization through the use of mitigating controls such as SIM, next-gen firewall, take a drink, IDS, client-based AV, firewall, blah, 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 blah. If you pass this to a CIO, if you pass this to a president, do you know what they're going to do? They're going to read the first 2 sentences, they're going to throw it in the trash. This is what you show them. Track everything. Metrics are critical. Good metrics. And I'm talking about quantifiable data, not qualifiable data, not how do you feel about the information security program. Define in your organization, how do you define an incident? Once you know that, track the number of incidents, because by doing so, you can actually begin trend analysis. That is critical. It's at the very core of what you do and what your team's responsible for. This communicates the exact same thing we were saying earlier, just in a very, very, really quick graphical way. If the CIO, if the president, if my boss wants more information, then he or she can come to me and I'll be more than happy to provide that information. Team management. The key word is team. One of the hardest concepts for me, and I still to this day am struggling with it, is as a manager, you're not the one with the ball anymore. It's actually your team. Your team is the one with the ball that's actually running down the field. And, sports analogy, it goes actually back to the presentation yesterday, which is an amazing presentation where they reference building a guild. You need your healers. You need your tanks. You need basically your DPSers that are sitting back here. You're not going to be able to be the person on those front lines anymore. You're not going to be able to be the tank. You're not the one with the ball anymore. In fact, in this picture, and I love this picture, you're the really big guy laying on the guy. That's you as the manager. Because as sure as I'm standing here, and this actually happened in my organization, your team is going to screw up. So we actually implemented VoIP not too long ago. And I'm telling you 3,000 phones over a 4-month period, huge VoIP implementation. So my team, we had a huge security evaluation. It took about 4 weeks. And they ARPed the network. So we basically brought down an entire campus network via ARP poisoning. And as you can imagine, the CIO and my boss, the AVP, was very, very upset. She came to my office. She's like, Stephen, this isn't acceptable. We can't ARP the network. We're talking about denial of service attack. And you know what? She was right. And there's two roads you can take then. You can be like, you know what? It wasn't my fault. It was these guys' fault. I told them not to do this. I told them to be careful. But that's not what I did. I said, you're right. And I take full responsibility for it. Because the buck stops with you. And you're the one that actually blocks the guy with the football. Because all they were trying to do is do their job. All they were trying to do is secure the organization. Your job is to actually block for them. Sometimes as a manager, the most effective thing you can do for them is to keep assholes, and I'm not in any way saying my management's assholes, but vendors can be, and consultants are even worse, and auditors are the ultimate. Get them out of your way where they can do their job. I mean, I'm a CISA. I'm a Certified Information Security Auditor. And the reason I have that certification is because I have a love-hate relationship with auditors. Keep them out of your team's way where they can run the ball down the field, because in doing so, they'll make you look good. They'll make the organization look good. And, in the end, you'll all be more secure. So resolution tactics, and I kind of touched on this a little bit, and I came really close to cutting this slide. So when, you're in a situation like the VoIP situation, and I have to sit down with my team, and I'm like, hey, you ARP the network, DOSs are really not so good. We don't want to do this again. You really have 4 choices as a manager, in all types of conflict. You have take no action, you have coach, you have mediate, and you have take charge. Take charge is micromanaging. Take charge is basically get out of the way, I'll do this, you're a moron. Mediate is very much, hey, let's talk about this. Let me sit here and try to, go between you and the networking group or whatever, the infrastructure group, whatever group's deploying said technology, act as a mitigator. Coaching is coaching them to do it. And then take no action is just sitting back and watching what happens. So from a blue to a red color chart, avoid the red. There's nothing worse. There's nothing worse. And it's the movie, The Secret Life of Walter Mitty, where his boss, has anyone seen it? Maybe 1 or 2. There's this part where his boss is in the hallway, and he's like, Walter, he's like, acknowledge that you heard me. And Walter's like shaking his head. And he like makes Walter like come back out in the hall and like verbally say, I heard you. Like, don't be a dick. Because if you're a dick, they're going to basically lose respect for you, number 1. Number 2, you're going to lose ground as a manager, number 2. But number 3, it sets up a working environment where they don't want to come to work. They don't want to give you their best, because you're not treating them fairly. Treat them the way you want to be treated. It's really just that simple. So, team management. Attack surfaces are infinite, resources are finite. That's just the way it is. Or to put it another way, one of my favorite quotes, a gentleman by the name of Mike Rothman, he's with Secrosis. The bad guys only have to be right once. We have to be right all the time. So, as a manager and a leader, the buck stops with you. Have plans for when an incident happens that the buck stops with you. Absolutely meet with your team. Meet with your team weekly. If you have a team that's global, have Skype calls. Well, Skype's, no, not Skype. Have Cisco, not Cisco. Anyway, meet with your team on a regular basis of whatever technology you want to use to actually, have those meetings. And, communicate, what you're working on. Communicate your expectations of them, their expectations of you. But understand when it goes bad, because it will go bad, whether it's an audit or whether it's them actually DOSing the network, whether it's crashing a critical A server, Class A server that you really didn't mean to crash. You've got to have a plan in place. But most of all, as the manager, it stops with you. Don't let it roll downhill any further than you, because the last thing they need is a CIO in their office screaming at them or a president upset with them, because then it goes back to they're there to enjoy themselves. They're there to actually, draw a paycheck, but at the same time, contribute back to the organization in a positive way and actually have a meaningful life, which is really more important than any of this stuff. The way that you help them have a meaningful life is really, have it stop with you, shield them from things. And I can tell you my boss shields me from an immense amount from our CIO. So, it goes both ways. It really, really does. So going back to the Alice paradigm and the Cheshire Cat, when I was actually given the choice of management, it was very clear, hey, you can become a manager, and, with that management track, it's very likely you're going to make more money, and you're going to have more responsibility, and you're going to be more visible, and all those really cool things. And it sounded really awesome to me. And they were like, well, hey, what's even better is you can still, maintain and be right there in the technology. It's really a lie. At least for me, it was absolutely a lie. If that has not been your experience, I would love to talk to you afterwards, or maybe we can have a QA at the very end. It really is a lie. I have really kind of gone into management 100% to support my team. Now, ISO 27001, 13 domains are all right up here. They're actually broken up very strategically on the slide up there. On the left, those things, those operational managerial controls that managers typically are responsible for, things like security policy, program management, human resources security, so working with HR, termination, hiring, making sure access controls are in order, Identity and access management, that's highly technical, but there's also very much an operational managerial portion. Down at the bottom, you've got compliance and audit and disaster recovery, BCP. Those can be technical, but they also can be very operational. And then on the far, your right, you've got physical and environmental security, communication operations management, access controls, information security, acquisition, development, and maintenance, and incident response. Those are technical processes. I can tell you that the team that I have, which is an amazing team, they very much focus, with the exception of one individual on the right. I have one really talented individual that actually is very interested in policy. He is toward the left. It's very, very difficult, at least in higher ed, to find someone that's oriented toward the left, toward risk management, toward program management, at a salary that we can pay them. It's very, very difficult because typically you become a manager and you really kind of go to a large Fortune 500 company, or you end up going in consulting. So what I've had to do is I've had to supplement on that side and stay on that side. So just understand you can't be the master of all. It's impossible. I've met a lot of people, and y'all are a lot of really, really smart people in this room, but I can assure you that not a single one of you has a master of all these domains. Not just among yourself. That's why you have a team. You're more effective as a team. So maintaining your edge. The key to maintaining your edge is understanding that, number one, you're not going to be the one with the ball anymore, more than likely. And to surround yourself, and because of that, you really need to surround yourself with people that are smarter than you are. You need to understand what your strengths and what your weaknesses are. If your strength is writing policy, if your strength is pen testing, so my strength is policy, so I supplement on the technical side. But if your strength is opposite, if I come from Active Directory like I did, and I'm really good at pen testing and I'm really good at DRBCP, then I'm going to go find policy people, and they're going to be very hard to find in the Atlanta area because it's a competitive market. But that's what I'm going to do. I'm going to supplement where I'm weak, and I'm going to surround myself with the best that I can get for the money that I have provided. I actually just hired my newest hire. He has 2 master's degrees. He has 17 years experience as a CISO. He's actually overqualified. He's actually more qualified than me, and he's like the most amazing hire ever. And a lot of people, would be threatened by that, but that's the exact opposite. The reason I hired him was because it's all about, surrounding yourself with people that are smarter than you. And his background is networking, and he's all about IPv6 and something, our organization is really not looking at right now. And he's already, done amazing things, and he's going to continue to. So, there's a great quote regarding this, which is, if you're the smartest person in the room, you're in the wrong room. Find a new room. This was yesterday. This is here. Y'all are all smarter than I am from a technology standpoint. So that's why I'm here. And we'll actually get to that in a minute. So put yourself outside of your comfort zone. So I presented nationwide. I presented at EDUCAUSE 3 times. I presented actually at CSO 40. We won an award 2 years ago for our IAM implementation. I can tell you I've never been as nervous about a presentation as I am this one, because those groups are my groups. And when I go there, people are in suits and they're in ties. And, they kind of dress the way I dress when I go to work. And this is the first time I think I've ever wore jeans to a presentation. This is outside my comfort zone. So last year, when I was at DerbyCon, and this is my second year here, me and one of my employees was here, most amazing employee I have, one of the, just great guy. I said, I want to come back here. I said, because I think I actually have something for this group, which is this presentation. I said, I'm going to do a CFP, and I really want to talk about the management side and what we really, really need. So, this is DerbyCon, and this is why I'm here. I really wanted to move as far out of my comfort zone as I could. And again, I'm not here to be average. I'm here to be awesome. And if you're going to do it, if you're going to go over to the management side, or if you're actually just going to stay on the technology side, by damned, do it to be awesome. Don't do it for a paycheck. Because people that do it for a paycheck are phoning it in. I meet those people all the time. We work in the greatest field in the world. Information security is the greatest field in the world. Because no matter, we accept all. If you're really good at policy, hey, guess what? We have a place for you. If you're really good at technology, we've got a place for you. If you're really good at Python, we've got a place for you. If you're really good at beating up auditors, you damn straight I've got a place for you. I mean, we really are an industry that we embrace everyone. And when we all embrace each other, when we become that family that we keep talking about here, that's when we're the strongest. So, maintaining your edge. Stay curious. So, last week, I was at Disney World. with my family, and it was a great trip. It was 7 days of awesome. We go to Disney World a lot because I'm in Atlanta. But we had a really good time. But when I was there, has anyone been to Disney World recently? Yeah. So Disney World is actually the Magic Bands. They've actually spent more money on the Magic Bands than they actually have. They could have built a fifth park, which is fascinating to me. They've spent billions of dollars on them. So the Magic Bands is kind of a whole nother topic. But what I found really, really fascinating was this rapid fill, which is RFID. So rapid fill, thanks. So rapid fill, they basically put RFID chips on the bottom of cups. Well, okay. Plastic cups, that you carry around for a week. That makes sense. Oh, no. They put them on the bottom of disposable cups. So if you buy a disposable cup at Disney World now, it comes with an RFID chip on the bottom. Well, why would you possibly do that? Well, because when you put it on the drink machine, it actually activates that RFID chip, and after 12 hours, that cup's no longer able to get drinks. So there are RFID readers actually, in these, in the actual drink machines, and you can actually see it there to the left. Well, there was this little girl at the pool, where my wife and I, of course, I ripped, the minute I got one of these cups, I was like, oh my God, this is the greatest thing ever. So I ripped the bottom out of it. And I'm looking at the RFID chip. And then I got my wife's cup. She was like, what you doing? I dumped her drink out and took her RFID chip. So there was this little girl at the pool, and she had this really awesome thermos, but she couldn't use it because it was this. So I was like, come here. And I was like, here, just take this little piece of paper and go put it on top of that black thing. You'll be able to get all the soda you want. And she was like, yay. And she went running up there, got this huge mountain of soda. So it's stay curious. It's just all this technology is out there. And, everyone else, at Disney, they adopt this technology. They don't think anything about it. And that's such kind of a really simple kind of management example. But it's really important if you decide to go the management route, please stay curious. I can tell you my wife got very frustrated with me. She's like, what are you doing? Why are you taking my cup apart? I had a great time with it. I still actually, at home, I'm messing around with it. We actually have an RFID reader at work. So I was actually trying to figure out what frequency it was and what the actual chip contains and trying to figure out what all they are doing with it because they're not very forthcoming with that. Anyway, so wrapping up. So unicorns and a cat. Yep. See, I can't be taught. So 3 really quick job sites. I actually searched for information security manager. The one on the left is LinkedIn. The one in the middle is Monster, and the one on the right is Glassdoor. So LinkedIn has 21,000 job postings. Monster has 375, and Glassdoor has 25,345. There is a huge deficit right now for information security management. Huge deficit. I want you, from a technology standpoint, to consider going down this road. But I want you to understand it's not a road to go down lightly. I want you to understand that you will have to make sacrifices and that you will have to give up some of your technical competency. But I can tell you that if you choose to go down this road, it will be the most rewarding thing you've ever done in your life, at least from a job, from a career standpoint. Because we need more people. What I'm terrified of, and I was actually talking to someone about this last night, is we're beginning to get these managers that have no concept of information security as a holistic practice. As information security managers, we don't need those people because those people are actually bad for our industry. They really, really are, and they're actually driving a lot of people away from a lot of organizations, talented technical people. We've all had bad managers. If you want to go down this road, please talk to me after this talk. I can certainly, I'll be a resource to you. I'll be a mentor any way I can help you. Yeah. So that's all I've got. My name's Stephen Gay. There's my email. There's my Twitter. It's Red Palmetto. And my LinkedIn. And it's really actually been an honor to be here. So thank y'all so much. And we have, I think, 2 minutes. So anyone have any questions?